All right. Well, hello, and thank you so much for being here today, and I'm really excited to talk to you about finding your passion. My name's Cindy Villanueva. We're going to talk about a couple of things today. I'll tell you a little bit about me. Then we're going to talk about what is passion, because it's a word you hear all of the time, but it's really important that we have a good definition before we get started. We're going to talk about why it's so important, and then take some steps on how you actually find it, and then once you find it, what do you do with it? And then we'll have some time for questions at the end. So a little bit about me. I work at Concordia. I'm the Director of Business Partnerships here, which means that I work with local area businesses and organizations to drive enrollment to our university, to let them know about the mission and the vision here at the university, what it is that we can provide in the community. And so I work with school districts, I work with chambers of commerce, and a variety of different businesses as well. In addition to that, I'm an adjunct professor here. I teach undergraduate business ethics, and it's something that I really love. I also work at my studio. I own a martial arts studio just up the way, about 10 minutes from here. It's a mixed martial arts studio where we have kids who start at 4 and go all the way through adult. And lastly, I work at my own marketing agency. I have a boutique agency called Knockout Marketing Strategies, where I specialize in brand strategy, employee engagement and culture, and executive speaker coaching. I also have 4 kids and 2 grandbabies. So I work a lot at stuff that I love. So let's talk a little bit about what passion really is. You hear this, like I said, it's sort of overplayed. We hear that word all the time, like, what does that mean? Well, I'm really passionate about wildlife. Well, I'm really passionate about Thai cooking. Well, I'm really passionate about public speaking. You can be passionate about a lot of stuff, but what does that really mean? But it usually is set in sort of opposition to something that you just have to do. It's that idea of work or obligation, or, you know, it's a duty that you have to do. So we usually think of passion as being the opposite of that. Passion is something that lights you up. When you think about it, when you're in the middle of it, it's something that energizes you, really, really builds you up. So what makes it so important? Well, passion does a few things in your life. First of all, it energizes us. It physically energizes us. So when you're doing something that you're really passionate about, there's a physiological reaction to that. You feel differently. People see you differently. You have energy in ways that you didn't have before. It gets you up in the morning and you're not exhausted even though you slept 2 hours the night before. You're not looking at your watch every 2 minutes to find out if you've gotten far enough in this project. You lose track of time. It energizes you. It also focuses you. When you're doing something that you're not passionate about, when you're in the middle of something like that, you're easily distracted. My son calls this SOS. It's shiny object syndrome. That any little thing will just take you away from what that thing is that you're doing that you have to do, that you don't feel passionate about. And then lastly, it sparks creativity. When you're doing something that you're really passionate about, you're going to be very imaginative. You're going to be thinking of the next big thing. What can I do with this? How can I make this more? How can I share this with other people? There's always that spark of creativity that happens when you're engaged in something that you're really passionate about. All right, so we know what it is. We know why it's important. How do you find it? I'm going to let you down a little bit here and tell you this isn't one of those kind of magical moments. This is where you roll up your sleeves and you do the hard work. It's called a spreadsheet. You need to set aside some uninterrupted time. This is not something you're going to do in 15 minutes. This isn't something you're going to do on your lunch hour. This is something that you're going to take a half a day, you're going to take a day, and you're going to go off someplace that nobody's going to bother you. You're going to find some place that feels really good to be in. So for me, it's always the beach. I came from California. I've been in Texas now since 2006. And the one thing that I really miss is the beach. So whenever I am in a place where I'm really stressed out or I'm working too hard or I need a good vision of what's next, I go down to the coast for a couple of days. When I was a little girl, my parents used to always say I had salt water in my veins because my favorite place was being at the beach. Maybe that's the case for you. Maybe it's going and sitting in the library. Maybe it's going to your favorite little indie coffee shop and getting your favorite chai, and you sit down there and you spend a few hours really thinking through this. But make sure that you set yourself up with enough time to do this properly. The next thing is be really scrupulous. Now, I'm going to show you a spreadsheet that I want you to use. Be really scrupulous. Don't leave stuff out here. This isn't the time to shortchange yourself. Really spend the time to go through, be relentless with yourself. It's going to feel really pedantic at one point. Don't let it. Go through the process, because you're going to miss stuff if you skip this step or if you shortchange this step. And then lastly, and this is so important, don't judge. I'm going to reiterate this throughout this presentation. You can't judge. You just need to write. You just need to say, okay, this is what I did, and write it down. Don't judge it at all. Right now, it's just throwing stuff out there. So what am I talking about? Here's your spreadsheet. And it doesn't show up that great on this wall, but I can send this over to you. But here's the thing. You're going to list out your activities for the last week. Everything. Now, this is why I say you can't do this on your lunch hour. You need to take a day or a half a day to do this exercise. But you need to list everything that you've done in the last week, professionally, personally, and this could be, maybe it's a one-page sheet, maybe it's 10 pages. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's you. So don't judge it. Just write it down, everything that you've done. And then you have to say, did I have to do it or did I want to do it? So the second column is very simple. Did you have to do it or did you want to do it? The third column says, did I mark time or did I lose time? This is super important. If you were doing something and you were checking your watch every 10 minutes, you're marking time. If you looked up and went, oh my goodness, it's been 5 hours, you lost time. So make sure that you identify for that particular activity, did I mark time or did I lose time? The next one is, can I connect it to a meaningful outcome? As human beings, it's so important for us to have meaning in the things that we do. If we can't tie meaning to the things that we do, it sucks the life out of us. But when we can tie what we do to some bigger meaning, to some bigger picture, that energizes us. So can you tie it to some meaningful outcome? And then the last one is so important, and don't shortchange this step. How did it make me feel? Was I exhausted? Was I bored? Was I annoyed? Did I feel resentful? Was I happy? Was I joyful? Was I giddy? Make sure that you write down how that particular activity made you feel, and go through everything that you did over the last week. And it'd be easy for me to say, okay, go back in the last 24 hours and write everything. But there are some things that you do in your life that you do once a week. So make sure that you get everything. Now, if you ate dinner every day, you don't have to write it down 7 times. Just each activity, make sure that you put it on there. Now, this is the important part. Once you get your spreadsheet complete, now you have to analyze it, and you have to look for trends. It's not always going to be obvious. Sometimes there's going to be something that leaps off the page, and you're going to go, yes, that's the thing. That's the thing that lights me up. That's the thing that really inspires me, that makes me want to get up in the morning and makes me want to work, 20 hours in a day. That's the thing. But it's not always going to be obvious. Sometimes you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. And it's not always going to be extracurricular. We like to think that, it's those hobbies. It's the things that we do outside of work. Those are the things that we're really passionate about. If it's your job, man, you get double points there, because now you're living and you're doing the things that really light you up and make you passionate about life. And keep in mind that finding out what isn't your passion is every bit as important as finding out what is. If you find something on your list that you get to that last column, how did it make you feel? Man, I was miserable. I was drained. I was exhausted. I felt resentful. I was angry. That's your first clue that that's not your area of passion. That's every bit as important information as finding the stuff that jumps off the page and says, hey, this is where I need to be. This is who I am. And again, I will reiterate, don't judge. Let me give you an example. So these two pictures that you see up here, the top one up there are my little dragons at my studio. My little dragons program is the 4-year-olds to the 7-year-olds. They're the little cuties. Ay-ya! They're just adorable, and everybody stands there and watches them, and oh, they're so cute, they're so great. The picture down below are 3 of my black belt women, all of whom started martial arts in their 40s. Now, the 2 on the left are now 2nd-degree black belts. The one next to me is a 3rd-degree black belt. And all of them started out with me in cardio kickboxing. They just wanted to work out. They never thought they could do martial arts. But they started martial arts, and now they have advanced belts in martial arts. Now, you could look up at those little kids and go, God, that's so great. How great would it be to teach little kids? And they're smiling little faces, and it's so wonderful. And it's really great to teach the adults too, but gosh, those little kids. So when I'm doing my inventory, no. Not a big fan of teaching the little kids. It exhausts me. I'm watching my clock. Is it 30 minutes yet? Is it time for a game yet? Where my adults, I'm looking up going, oh my goodness, the hour's over. Okay, you guys line up, bow out, class is over. Completely different. Now for me, I started martial arts at 32 years old. Never in a million years did I think when I walked into that studio just to have something fun to do with my children, would I be a 6th-degree black belt and own my own studio. Now, when I think about this, it's easy to judge. It's easy to go, what kind of teacher doesn't like teaching little kids? Like, what is wrong with you? There must be something wrong with me. Like, what is the thing that keeps me from really enjoying teaching those precious little angels? You can't judge. You can't judge. See, the good thing is I have black belts who love teaching dragons. I have one father-son duo that teaches my little dragons classes on Saturday mornings. He is an MIT engineer, one of the smartest men I've ever known in my life. His son is going to be just like his dad. Super like the box, they like the instructions, they like the spreadsheets, they like the numbers. And to see them running around just giddy with those little kids, it just warms your heart. They love it. They don't particularly like teaching the adult classes. So you find things that you don't particularly like or that don't really fill your soul, and you know what? It's okay, because we're all designed differently. There's going to be skills that you have that I don't have. There's going to be things you love that I don't love. I can remember being in the MBA program here at Concordia and having to take finance classes and going, I pay people to do this. I hate this stuff. It's not my core competency. It's not my joy. But then I sit and listen to Dr. Brazier and talk about her days at Deloitte, and she just lights up. Like, she loves that stuff. That bores me out of my mind. But that lights her up. We're all going to be different, and you can't judge. When you do your inventory, I cannot stress enough, don't judge. Now, when you are looking for trends, this is really important. So when I finished my MBA here, I thought, you know what? I love this place. I really love this place. I love the mission here. I love the vision. I've always loved working with adult students. I would really like to come back here and teach. And I talked to Dr. Brazier, and she said, yeah, we'd love to have you. Talked to Dr. Gillis, who was my dean at the time, did my interviewing. I'd spent almost 20 years working in marketing communications in Silicon Valley. They credentialed me to teach a whole mess of classes. So awesome. So I'm so excited, and I really, really wanted to teach international marketing. I'd been doing global marketing for a long, long time, and I thought, this is my spot. But they didn't need an instructor for that class. What they needed was somebody to teach business communications. 2 sections, 1 day a week, and I thought, okay, first semester, I can do that. Marketing communications, business communications, piece of cake, I'll do it. Friday morning at 7:30 and Friday morning at 8:30. I had 2 sections, 35 kids in each class, first semester freshmen. I'm so excited. I'm a teacher now. I'm a professor. I'm going to be at Concordia, and I'm going to teach. I was so excited. I'd been working at Cisco for almost 10 years, and it was sucking the life out of me. And I was looking for something that was going to feed my soul. I'm going to teach at Concordia. So I get scheduled for my classes. They come back and they go, by the way, it turns out we need a professor for that international marketing class. Well, I've already committed to doing these classes, but I really wanted to teach that class. So I thought, I'll do that one too. Let me just teach the 3 classes my very first semester here. So I'm teaching all 3 of those classes. What I find is that at 7:30 in the morning, kids who 4 months before were in high school don't like to be in class. They don't want to be there. They roll in 10 minutes late with a cup of coffee and their pajamas on. They don't care about communications. They don't have the maturity to study hard they're just freshmen. That's their job, and that's fine. But I'm thinking, I'm a terrible teacher. I really made a big mistake. This is not an area of competency for me. What's wrong with me? But then I'm teaching this international marketing class, and they're juniors and seniors, and they've been around the block, and they do their homework, and they're engaged, and we have these wonderful conversations in class, and I can't wait to go teach that class. I'm going, what is wrong with me? And I'm judging. But then I took a step back, and now I'm looking at my inventory, and I'm starting to see a trend. Because guess what? I don't like teaching little dragons. First semester freshmen are little dragons. It's not my gig, right? That's not my area of expertise. It's not my passion. And so instead of going there at 7:30 and being all excited, I'm going, oh, I got to go at 7:30. And I get through the semester and I'm thinking, this isn't it. But when I really analyzed it and I looked for trends, I realized something about myself. I get really excited about advanced students, about really committed students, whether they are my martial arts students or they are my university students. And so instead of judging and feeling like a failure and telling myself I'm a horrible person because I don't like 4-year-olds and I don't like freshmen, I went, you know what? Now I know what I'm really good at, and now I know what I love. And so I go to my dean and I said, you know what? From here on out, don't give me freshmen. I want to teach upper division classes. And that's what I did. I ended up teaching in the MBA program. I taught marketing management in the MBA program. And I teach juniors and seniors. And I've tried a bunch of different classes. And you know where I've settled is business ethics, because I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait for the semester to start. And God knows there's so much cool stuff that we can talk about in class. We probably never have to do homework because there's just so much stuff to talk about. But it's the thing that really lights me up. Like, I love that class. I love those students. Most of them are graduating seniors. I mean, they're mature. They're here. They know why they're here. They want to study. They want to learn. They want to get launched. And I love being a part of that. That really fires me up. So do the analysis, look for the trends, things that may not automatically pop out at you. Like, I would never have really correlated little dragons with freshmen, but once I started looking at the trends, it became really obvious to me. That's not an area of passion for me. Beginners is not an area of passion for me. I started looking back over my career and I saw, you know what, the times when I was the most successful and I was happiest as a manager and as a leader was not when I was managing junior employees. It was when I was managing senior employees, more mature employees, that I could say, this is the vision, this is what I want to get done. I'll get the roadblocks out of your way, you go do it, I'll talk to you in a week. That's where I've been more successful, not with the ones that I have to meet with every day. Okay, and tell me what you did, and tell me what meetings you had, and CC me on everything. That's not my area of passion. So it's a matter of listing it all out, analyzing it, looking for the trends, and not judging yourself for finding things that you feel like you should like or you should be good at. Because the first time that you start hearing that word should in your head, that's your first clue that you're judging and you're not actually going to uncover your passion. Okay, so now you've found it. Now what exactly you do? It's really important to avoid the extremes. Because on one extreme, you're going to go, it's going to come off the page, and you're going to go, that's it. I'm supposed to design flower arrangements. I'm going to quit my 6-figure job. I'm going to go off. I'm going to grow a bunch of stuff in my garden. I'm going to go to farmers markets. This is what I'm going to do in life. That's one extreme. The other extreme is to say, wow, I got a family, I got a mortgage, I have all these responsibilities. I'm never going to be who I wanted to be. I'm never going to be able to do the things that really fire me up. I'm just going to be stuck in this sort of mundane existence. Those are two extremes that you need to avoid. You need to find the middle ground. So make it a priority. It's not just a wish. Like, wouldn't it be nice if I could live a life of passion? Make it a priority and then make a plan. Don't worry about it if it's incremental. You're not throwing everything away to live this life of passion. When I was at Cisco, I was making a very good wage. I had great benefits. I had a great team. I was managing, 125 people around the globe. I got to travel. I got to do a lot of things, but I got really bored. I didn't just chuck it. That's kind of stupid, but I found something that was going to feed my soul. I came and started teaching at Concordia, and I told you the story and figured out, how to find my area of passion. You can make it incremental, bit by bit, baby steps, but you're making a plan and you're making it happen. And don't worry about iterating, because like I said, I started off thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and went, oh, back it up. No, that's not going to work. That's not it. Same area, but a different route. Be willing to iterate, because when you start assuming that you can live a life of passion and you start believing that it's possible, you may take a couple steps and go, that wasn't quite it. I'm going to go this direction now, or I'm going to go this direction now. And if you need a mentor or you need somebody who can help you kind of guide you along that path, by all means, give me a call. But be willing to iterate. And lastly, be willing to sacrifice. You saw my schedule, right? I work full-time here, 40 hours at Concordia. I spend about 20 hours a week teaching just the one class. I teach at my studio. That's about 20 hours a week. And then I invest between 10 and 20 hours a week at my marketing firm. So you start doing the math and you realize I don't sleep a whole lot. That's a sacrifice that I make. I never in bed before midnight. I get home from my studio at 9 o'clock. I leave in the morning, I come here, I work all day long, go straight to my studio. I get home about 9 o'clock, and then I do work for my clients. So you have to make some sacrifices sometimes to live the life that you love. When I think about sacrifices, I recently made a pretty significant sacrifice. But a little sacrifice goes a long way. I told you that my family always said I had salt water in my veins. Well, so I recently sold my house in Lakeway, and I moved in with my best friend and her family and live in her spare bedroom. But I bought a house that's a 4-minute walk from that sunrise. My son lives there full-time. It's in Florida. It's on the Atlantic side of Florida. My son lives there full-time with our dogs, and I spend about a week a month out there. And that's where I recharge. That's where I'm creative. That's where I get completely energized. That gives me the energy to come back and live this insane 95-hour-a-week life that I have here. So be willing to make sacrifices, because you know what? It's as much as I adore my best friend, we've been since we were 11, so I can tell you that's 45 years ago. I live in somebody else's spare bedroom. That's a sacrifice. But that's my home. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and sometimes a little sacrifice can go a long way. All right. You can live a life of passion. You really, really, truly can. Number one, you have to value it. You have to believe in it, and you have to value it. It can't just be a dream for somebody else. You have to say, I really do value that. And then you need to identify, what does that mean for you? Because what it means for you is totally different from what it means for me. For me, it means working 95 hours a week and spending a week a month at the beach. For you, it might be completely different. Maybe it is flower arranging. Maybe it's teaching yoga. Maybe it's teaching full-time here. Whatever it is, it's going to be different for you or me, but you have to identify it, and then you have to make a plan. Because otherwise, if it's just a wish, you're no different from anybody else. But when you plan, when you actually put in place some steps that you're going to take tomorrow and next week and next year, you really truly can live a life of energy and focus and creativity that you never dreamed before. That's it. Thank you so much.